what I really keep hearing from all the fintech companies that I have meetings with, everyone is having a very good feedback of our regulators. I have really even heard the feedback which says that working with the regulator was like working with another fintech just from the public sector, and it was during the licensing process. And that is kind of like I think very good sign that our regulator has undergone this change, and they have become very open, and they are very interested and eager to have fintechs here, and they are working on various instruments to really have a playing field to test here all kinds of new solutions.
Tina, thank you so much for coming and spending time with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Tina, please tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
So I am the manager of Fintech Latvia Association, and we are representing the fintech companies. Currently the core is consisting from the consumer credit companies, but we are also trying to reach out to all other fintech sector companies and provide this bridge in the dialogue with the regulators and policymakers.
Okay, and so what would you say is the main goal of the Fintech Association in Latvia?
We have various activities. Of course, one of them is definitely working on and helping the regulator to improve the regulatory environment, like sort of acting as a lobby for fintech organization. And another important role that we are taking on is just doing the networking and kind of enhancing the dialogue also within the industry and for the industry with the regulators and policymakers.
Okay, and I'm keen to hear from you, what do you think is unique about the fintech ecosystem in Latvia?
I think that we are of course a rather small country, but hence we are also quite early started with coming up with different kind of solutions. Like the sector that I'm more aware of is, as I mentioned, consumer lending, which started very actively when Latvia as a country faced financial crisis back in 2008. And then we kind of had this first wave of fintech, actually, I believe, where youngsters, I would say, developed all kinds of solutions how to reach out to consumers and provide them credit facilities. And since then, I think that there has started kind of like a wave of the younger generation that have a financial background, that have banking background, of them creating different kind of solutions. And we know now that we have created as a country quite big players like Nordic and with open data solutions like Mintos, which are creating like just amazing investment opportunities for private sector and so on and so on.
Right. And so we understand that there's around 120, 130 different fintechs in the ecosystem. Let's talk a little bit about the economic context, because we're in a bear market. We're hearing that we're near a recession, at least in some markets. How is Latvia experiencing the change in investment conditions that we've seen up until now, and how is that impacting some of the fintechs in your ecosystem?
I kind of haven't heard from the industry that it would be somehow become very difficult to attract the financing. Like on the contrary, so far we have seen some of the companies going public and issuing bonds and issuing stock and attracting. But of course, economic impact is reaching all of us, and we are still recovering from COVID impact, and we see from the data from consumer crediting companies that they are slowly coming back to where they were before pandemics, and of course, we are not out of context in terms of economical situation in the world.
What do you think foreign investors or companies that are looking to establish some operations in the Baltics, why should they look towards Latvia as a fertile ground to start or to set up a fintech?
I think that one thing that is it came maybe from not such good beginnings, but when we faced this Moneywall report where we had to do some certain restructurings with our financial system, actually we can now benefit from that because I think our financial system is in a quite good order. We may be looking into areas to maybe even relax some regulations that have been adopted and some measures that have been taken. So if we look on let's say European market, then that when investor comes to establish something in Latvia, then they can actually rely that our regulation will not maybe rapidly change or face some unpredictable changes, which might happen in other jurisdictions that maybe have not yet, with respect to AML or sanctions, reached the same level that we have. On the other hand, what I really keep hearing from all the fintech companies that I have meetings with, everyone is having a very good feedback of our regulators. I have really even heard the feedback which says that working with the regulator was like working with another fintech just from the public sector, and it was during the licensing process. And that is I think, very good sign that our regulator has undergone this change, and they have become very open, and they are very interested and eager to have fintechs here, and they are working on various instruments to really have a playing field to test here all kinds of new solutions. And at the same time, we have this rather safe environment. So I think that we are, from that perspective, we are in quite a good position right now.
I think you're absolutely right. We've spoken to the regulator, and we keep hearing this message that the regulator is very open, very progressive, that they're innovating, that they have their own innovation hub, and which is, I think, is quite an interesting way of playing that role within the ecosystem.
Yes, exactly, and I am also representing the fintechs who are operating in different jurisdictions, and they all actually say that if they compare, then working with the regulators in Latvia is much more convenient and much more easier than maybe in some other jurisdictions. And even though we tend to be very critical about our political system and our economical state and everything, we actually have to admit that we are in quite a good place in terms of regulator.
What would you say perhaps is one of the benefits to Latvian fintechs of having a closer integration with a pan-Nordic market, and specifically in the Nordics and Baltics?
You know, each of us separately, we are, if we look globally, we are rather small markets. So I think that by strengthening these ties and strengthening the cooperation, we can all benefit in the end of the day and create some very valuable unicorns in the future. So yes, otherwise if we look at each of the Baltic countries separately, or even the Nordic countries separately, it's still a rather limited market.
I'm keen to understand what's your vision for the fintech ecosystem and landscape in Latvia, and what role would you want the Fintech Association to play in that vision?
For the Fintech Association, I think that what we would like to do is create this networking space where or the point of contact where investors or the companies that are trying to enter market or looking for some contacts can reach out and get this help. We are creating some instruments also to do this, to enhance this networking. We are doing fintech report that is available on our homepage. Last year we came out with the Fintech Pulse Latvia, where we tried to gather all the information about what is happening and what's new and what's trendy in Latvian ecosystem. We are doing a networking event, Fintech Breakfast, that is like taking place face to face, but is also streamlined in networks, and that is all the records are available also on our homepage, and we are trying to touch and have dialogue on all the different topics that might be interesting to fintechs, such as cyber security, talent attraction, talent motivation, talent availability, etc., etc. And if what would be our vision for the future is to actually keep up the good work that has been started, and to have the regulators and policy makers motivated to improve even more our environment. And so I think that we are on a good start, and we should keep up the good work.
If I was to ask you what 3 words would describe the fintech ecosystem in Latvia, what would those words be?
I would say that it's innovative, bold, and open for communication.
Great. Okay, well, Tina, thank you so much for coming and spending time with us, and for all the insight that you provided.
Thank you as well.